Hands where I can see 'em. Now." The bar fell dead silent. Music stopped mid-beat. Laughter froze. And every pair of eyes turned toward two black men standing near the counter. Malik and Marcus Carter, 32-year-old identical twins from Atlanta, Georgia. Their drinks were still half full. They hadn't even spoken a word to the officers yet. Malik raised his hand slowly, his deep voice calm but tight. "Officers, their problem." One of the cops, a white man with a shaved head and clenched jaw, took a step forward. "You match the description. Two black males causing trouble." Marcus scoffed, disbelief flashing in his eyes. "Causing trouble? We were just—" "Quiet!" the officer barked. "Don't make this harder than it has to be." The other officer rested his hand on his holster. The tension was so thick you could taste it. People at the bar started whispering. Some pulled out their phones. Others looked away, pretending not to see. Malik's voice cracked slightly, the anger beneath his composure showing. "We serve this country, officer. You got the wrong guys, yeah? What are you, superheroes?" Marcus locked eyes with him. Something like that. A beat of silence. Then, the officer shoved Marcus against the bar. The glass shattered. Malik flinched but didn't move. Trained not to escalate, even when wronged. If you're watching this, tell me where you're from in the comments, and hit like if you believe no one should be treated this way. Earlier that night, the twins had just landed back in the States after 6 months deployed overseas. Malik, U.S. Navy commander, decorated with 2 silver stars. Marcus, Marine Corps captain, special ops. They were heroes. But to those officers, they were just 2 black men in a bar. The twins had come to celebrate. Their hometown buddies invited them to a small sports bar on the edge of town, a place called Benny's Tap Room, where American flags hung over the walls and the beer flowed easy. They didn't expect trouble. They didn't expect judgment. They didn't expect fear in people's eyes the moment they walked in, wearing casual hoodies and jeans instead of uniforms. One of the waitresses whispered to the bartender. Then a call was made. "To the police," the dispatcher wrote. 2 suspicious black males. Possible threat, no names, no proof. Just skin color. And now, in the present moment, that call had turned celebration into humiliation. Malik could feel the weight of 1,000 moments like this pressing down on him. All the times he'd been looked at twice, followed in stores, asked for ID first, even after serving his country for 15 years. His voice trembled but steady. "You really don't know who you're talking to, do you?" The cop smirked. "Don't care who you are. You're going downtown." Marcus's jaw flexed. His voice dropped low. Dangerous, controlled. "You might want to think real carefully about that." The officer laughed, motioning for backup. The bar doors swung open again. 3 more officers entered. Marcus glanced at Malik. Malik nodded once. The kind of nod brothers give when the storm is coming. The moment the officers try to cuff them, one of the twins makes a single phone call. To someone who changes. Everything. Marcus's wrists were halfway in the cuffs when he spoke. Calm. Controlled. Like a man who knew exactly what would happen next. "Before you finish that, officer, you might want to check your radio." The officer snorted. "Oh, you think you can talk your way out of this?" "No," Marcus said. "I earned my way out of this." He tilted his head toward Malik, his twin. The quieter one, the one with the steady stare that said more than 1,000 words. Malik took out his phone slowly, movements measured. He dialed a single number. The officer tensed. "Put that phone down." "It's not a weapon," Malik said. "It's a lifeline." He pressed call. 1 ring, 2 rings. Then a voice came through, crisp, commanding, unmistakable. "Commander Carter? You back stateside already?" The bar went dead quiet again. Every officer froze. Malik's tone shifted. The calm soldier's voice emerged. "Yes, sir. We have a situation here at Benny's Tap Room. Local officers detained us without cause. We're being cuffed." A pause on the line. Then, "Detained who?" the voice asked, sharper now. Commander Malik Carter and Captain Marcus Carter. That name carried weight. The kind that ripples through walls. The cop holding Marcus frowned, confused. Commander? Captain, you trying to play games? Malik handed the phone over. Why don't you ask who's on the other end? The officer hesitated but lifted it. This is Officer Daniels, who's this? His face went pale. Whoever was on the other line wasn't just some officer. It was Rear Admiral Hayes, Malik's superior, the kind of man who could end careers with a single call. Officer Daniels, Hayes's voice thundered through the speaker, you are detaining 2 decorated military heroes who've spent the last 6 months defending your right to stand there with that badge. I suggest you remove those cuffs now. You could have heard a pin drop. Even the bartender froze mid-pour. The officer stammered. Sir, we didn't know. You didn't ask, the Admiral shot back. And that's the problem. Marcus's hands were still behind his back. He didn't say a word. Didn't need to. The look in his eyes said it all. This is what it's like to be us. The cuffs came off, fast, but the damage was done. The crowd stared. Some ashamed, some in awe, some still confused how this turned so fast. The Admiral's voice echoed one last time through the phone. Commander Carter, you and your brother stand down. We'll handle this. I'm filing a report with the department myself. Malik ended the call. He looked around the bar, at the officers who couldn't meet his eyes, at the people who whispered behind their hands. You see, Malik said quietly, this is America. We can be heroes on Monday, suspects by Friday night. Marcus chuckled bitterly. Guess our uniforms are the only thing that makes us safe, huh? He turned to the officers, voice steady but cutting. You didn't even ask our names. Just saw 2 brothers and pulled your guns. The main cop tried to respond. Look, we got a call. And you believed it because of what? Malik interrupted. Because we fit your description? The silence that followed was the kind that leaves bruises. As the twins walked out of the bar, heads high but hearts heavy, Malik said one thing under his breath. This isn't over. Not yet, and Marcus replied, It never is. The next morning, a video from that night goes viral, and the whole country starts talking. But not everyone's on their side. By sunrise, the world knew their names. Commander Malik Carter, Captain Marcus Carter, twin heroes, humiliated in their own hometown bar. The video, shaky and grainy, was everywhere. Someone had recorded the entire scene. The shouting, the cuffs, the disbelief on Malik's face when the officer pushed Marcus. Within hours, it had hit 12 million views on TikTok and 3 million on YouTube. The caption screamed, 2 black veterans arrested for being black. Navy commander and Marine captain profiled in small-town bar. The internet exploded. Some people were outraged. Others, predictably, said the twins were playing the race card. If they just complied, none of this would have happened. How were the cops supposed to know who they were? Stop making everything about race. Malik scrolled through the comments in silence, his jaw tightening. Marcus stood behind him, arms folded, watching his brother's shoulders tense with each hateful word. They'll never understand, Malik muttered. They don't want to, Marcus replied. That morning, their phones wouldn't stop ringing. CNN wanted an interview. The Navy's Public Affairs Office wanted statements. The local police department wanted silence. Malik ignored the calls for hours, until a text came through from a number he didn't expect. Meet me at HQ. We need to talk. Admiral Hayes, he looked at Marcus. We're going to D.C. The drive was long and quiet. The highway stretched like a scar across the land they'd sworn to protect. Every sign, every billboard felt like a reminder. You can serve, but you'll still have to prove you belong. Marcus stared out the window, finally breaking the silence. You think he's mad? No, Malik said. He's worried. This thing's out of control. Good, let it be. Maybe people need to see what happens when you don't wear the uniform. Malik didn't answer. He just gripped the wheel tighter. At the headquarters, cameras were waiting. Reporters shouted questions. Commander Carter, what happened that night? Do you believe this was racial profiling? Should the officers be fired? Malik kept walking. Marcus, though, stopped for a second, looked dead into the nearest camera. We fought for this country. We bled for it, but that night showed us something. Some wars don't end overseas. The clip hit every major network that evening. The story wasn't just about two brothers anymore. It was about America itself. But with attention came pressure. The police chief called for an internal review. The mayor held a press conference, calling it a tragic misunderstanding. And yet, none of the officers had been suspended. That night, Malik sat on his couch, scrolling through the news when a knock hit his door. Marcus opened it. Two uniformed officers stood there. Not the same ones from the bar. Different faces. Same department. Commander Carter, one of them said. We'd like to ask you some questions. Privately, Malik's stomach dropped. This wasn't about an apology. It was about control. Sure, he said, standing tall. But you might want to turn on your body cams first. The officer froze, caught off guard. Excuse me? Malik's tone hardened. No cameras, no talk. The officers exchanged glances, then turned to leave. As the door shut, Marcus looked at his brother and said quietly, "They're scared. They know this isn't going away." Malik nodded. "Good, let them be. We've been scared long enough." The next day, the department issues a shocking statement, claiming the brothers provoked the officers. The twins must decide whether to stay silent or fight back publicly. By the next morning, everything flipped. The same media that had hailed the Carter twins as heroes was now turning on them. The headline on Channel 7 read, "Military officers under investigation for confrontation with police." And under it, a blurred screenshot from the bar video, frozen mid-motion, making it look like Marcus was lunging forward. The news anchor's voice was smooth, practiced, dangerous. While the Carter brothers claim they were racially profiled, new footage suggests they may have escalated the situation. Marcus threw the remote at the TV. Escalated? I got slammed into a damn counter. Malik didn't move. He just sat at the kitchen table staring at his untouched coffee. They're trying to flip the script, he said. It's what they do when the truth hurts too much. His phone buzzed. A message from Admiral Hayes. Stay quiet. Don't engage with the press until we review the footage. But silence, Malik thought, is how this keeps happening. Marcus paced the room, his anger simmering just beneath the surface. You realize what's happening, right? They're painting us as threats. Again. I know. Then say something. Go public, speak out. Malik looked up finally, eyes heavy. You think they'll listen to us, Marcus? Two black men against the badge? We'll be called liars before we even start. Marcus slammed his fist on the counter. Then we give them proof. He grabbed his laptop, pulled up the original footage. Frame by frame, angle by angle, and there it was. Clear as daylight. The officer's hand pushing first. Malik's hands raised the entire time. Marcus's drink shattering before he even spoke. They had the truth. But truth, in America, doesn't always trend. That afternoon, a press release came out from the police department. Our officers responded to reports of aggressive behavior from two unidentified males. The individuals resisted questioning and acted in a threatening manner. Malik read the statement out loud, his voice breaking slightly on the words, aggressive behavior. They always find a way to make us the threat. Marcus leaned back in his chair, shaking his head. They called us unidentified. We had IDs. We had military tags. They just didn't care. Their phones rang again. This time, a call from a reporter at a national news outlet. We have sources inside the department claiming you two were intoxicated. Care to comment? Malik took a breath. We weren't drunk. We were disrespected. There's a difference. But the story had already begun to spiral. Some people online turned skeptical. Hashtags started shifting. The support that had poured in was now mixed with doubt and hate. Maybe they were looking for trouble. These stories are always one-sided. Not everything is racism, Marcus. Shut his laptop. They want us quiet. They want us tired. They want us small. Malik looked up slowly. Then we'll do the one thing they're not ready for. What's that? Speak. Together. That night, Malik recorded a short video in his living room. He looked straight into the camera, voice raw and steady. We didn't want this story to go viral. We didn't ask for cameras or headlines or hashtags. But if our silence means this happens to the next black man in uniform, then we'll speak. Loud. He paused. Because serving this country shouldn't depend on the color of your skin. Marcus uploaded it. Within hours, it had over 20 million views. And the tide began to turn again. But just as the twins start gaining national support, a new leaked document threatens their careers. And this time, it's coming from inside the military itself. The call came at 6:47 a.m. Malik was still in his workout gear when his phone buzzed with a message from a private military contact. Turn on the news. You're not going to like this. He did, and his stomach sank. The screen flashed the headline. Leaked military report questions conduct of Commander Malik Carter and Captain Marcus Carter. Underneath, a document stamped confidential, blurred out except for one haunting line. The Carter twins' behavior has raised concerns about discipline, judgment, and respect for civil authority. Marcus stormed in. Holding his own phone, they leaked our internal file. Someone from inside did this. Malik didn't respond at first. He was staring at the anchor reading from the teleprompter, twisting their names, their ranks, their legacy. Both officers are under informal review following an alleged altercation with local police. Marcus slammed the remote down. Informal review? We haven't even been notified. Malik's voice was quiet, deliberate. Someone's trying to discredit us before the truth hits the system. He sat down, opened his laptop, and logged into a secure Navy portal. But access to his own records had been restricted. A red message blinked across the screen. Access denied. Pending administrative review. They locked me out, he whispered. They can't do that. Marcus said. They just did. By afternoon, their faces were back on every network. But this time, the narrative was poison. Are these brothers heroes or troublemakers? Should military officers be held to a higher standard in public? Sources say the Carter twins may face disciplinary action. Marcus threw his hands up in disbelief. Man, they're killing us with words. You notice that? They don't need bullets. Just headlines. Malik looked out the window. They're not after us. They're after what we represent. Black men in power who won't stay quiet. The knock on the door came again. 2 uniformed officers, military police this time. Commander Carter, Captain Carter, one said. We've been ordered to escort you to the base. The Admiral's waiting. Marcus squared his shoulders. About time someone talks to us face to face. The ride to the base was silent. No music, no chatter. Just the hum of the engine and the weight of accusation in the air. Inside Admiral Hayes's office, the tension crackled like static. You leaked the report? Malik asked, his tone flat. Hayes looked weary. Older, like a man caught in the crossfire. No, Commander. But someone high up did. They're trying to control the narrative before Congress calls for a hearing. A hearing? Marcus snapped. For what? Surviving racism? For embarrassing a police department, Hayes said quietly. And by extension, the system that protects it. Malik leaned forward, eyes sharp. We didn't embarrass anyone. We told the truth. Hayes met his gaze. And that's what scares them. He stood, closing the office blinds. Listen to me carefully. Someone wants you both out. They're framing this as insubordination, hoping you'll either resign or explode. And what do you suggest? Malik asked. Fight back, but do it smart. I can't protect you publicly. But there's a journalist at the Herald willing to expose who leaked this. She'll meet you tonight. Marcus grinned. So now we're going underground. You're soldiers, Hayes said. Act like it. This time, the battlefield is truth. That night, under the cover of darkness, the twins drove to a dimly lit parking lot in D.C. A woman in a long coat approached, holding a file folder. Malik, Marcus, my name's Nia Thompson. I've seen the documents. You're being set up. By who? Malik asked. Nia hesitated. By people who don't want America to see how racism looks, even in uniform. Malik's chest tightened. Marcus clenched his fists. So what now? Nia handed him the folder. Now you fight back. But when you open this file, your war really begins. Malik opened it and froze. Inside were emails, call logs, and internal memos connecting the police chief, a senator, and a defense official, all working together to bury the incident. Marcus looked at his brother. They messed with the wrong soldiers. The next morning, Malik and Marcus go public with the leak, and the country explodes. The system strikes back harder than ever. Morning broke like thunder. By 7 a.m., every major news network in America was showing the same headline. Leaked emails reveal cover-up in racial profiling of military officers. Malik and Marcus sat shoulder to shoulder in a studio chair at the Herald's Washington office. Bright lights, camera lenses, the smell of coffee and chaos. Nia Thompson, the journalist who helped them, adjusted her mic and whispered, "You sure about this? Once you speak, there's no going back." Malik gave a small nod. "We didn't start this war. But we'll finish it." The red light blinked on. The live broadcast began. "Commander Carter, Captain Carter, what made you come forward?" Malik looked straight into the camera. "Because silence protects no one. We were profiled, humiliated, and then targeted by the same system we serve." Marcus leaned in, voice sharp but controlled. "And when the truth got too loud, they tried to bury it. We're here to say, not this time." Nia held up the printed emails. "For the viewers at home, these documents confirm coordination between a police chief, a senator, and a defense official to suppress the Carter brothers' case and frame it as misconduct." Social media erupted. Heckard Carter twins trended nationwide within minutes. Protesters began gathering outside the Pentagon gates, holding signs that read, "Black heroes, white silence. No uniform protects from racism." By noon, the White House issued a statement. "We are deeply concerned about the allegations of racial profiling and obstruction of justice. A federal inquiry has been ordered." Marcus watched the announcement on the studio monitor. "They're cornered," he said. "Now they have to pretend to care." Malik didn't smile. Pretending is still better than ignoring. But even as the country applauded their courage, danger was closing in. Their phones buzzed nonstop, messages, threats, anonymous calls. One voicemail stood out, a deep voice, distorted by static. "You should have stayed quiet, Carter. You don't know who you're up against." Marcus clenched his jaw. "So that's how it is. They want to scare us into backing down." Malik exhaled slowly. Then they picked the wrong brothers. That evening, Admiral Hayes called again. "You've unleashed a political hurricane," he said. "Half the country sees you as heroes. The other half thinks you're traitors." "Truth doesn't need sides," Malik said firmly. Hayes paused. "You're right. But watch your backs. They'll come for your credibility next. They'll say you falsified your records, that you never served where you did." Marcus laughed bitterly. "They'll have to erase half the damn Marine Corps to make that stick." "Don't underestimate them," Hayes warned. "They'd rather destroy you than admit what they did." Later that night, as protests swelled and cameras flashed outside their hotel, Malik sat by the window, staring out at the Capitol dome. The city glowed beneath the night sky, the same city he once believed stood for justice. Marcus walked up behind him. "You think it's worth it? All this?" Malik turned slowly. "If one black kid grows up knowing he's more than what they see, yeah, it's worth everything." Outside, the crowd began chanting their names. "Carter! Carter! Carter!" Each shout felt like a heartbeat of a country trying to wake up. But as the chants grew louder, a single notification lit up Malik's phone. A text from an unknown number. "We're coming for your careers. You've been warned." Marcus read it over his shoulder. "Let them come." He looked his brother in the eye. "We're soldiers. We don't hide." The next day, the Pentagon summons the twins for a disciplinary hearing, and what happens behind those closed doors changes everything. The summons came at dawn. A short, cold message on official letterhead: Commander Malik Carter and Captain Marcus Carter are to appear before the Department of Defense Ethics Review Board at 0900 hours. Malik read it twice. Marcus didn't bother reading it at all. "We knew this was coming," he said. "They're going to try and bury us behind protocol." "Then we'll show up in full uniform," Malik replied. "Let them look us in the eye when they do it." The Pentagon's marble halls echoed with footsteps and whispers as the twins walked in, decorated dress blues, medals gleaming under fluorescent light, the weight of their entire careers on their shoulders. Cameras weren't allowed inside, but that didn't matter. Everyone knew this was bigger than one hearing. They were escorted to a long mahogany table. 5 senior officers sat on the other side, a panel of men and women who'd built their lives on discipline, order, and silence. The lead investigator, a gray-haired general with a voice like gravel, began. "Commander Carter, Captain Carter, you are here to address conduct unbecoming of officers, specifically public statements that may undermine civil institutions." Marcus raised an eyebrow. "Undermine? We told the truth." The general didn't flinch. "The truth, Captain, is often classified." Malik leaned forward. "So is injustice, sir." The room went still. A single cough echoed from the back. "You were advised not to speak to the media," the general continued. "You defied that order. You made political statements, bringing disrepute to this department." "With respect, sir," Malik said evenly. "What brings disrepute is racism being ignored under your command." A flicker of discomfort crossed the general's face. "This isn't about race. Everything's about race when it decides whether I walk home or get shot in a parking lot," Marcus said quietly. The general's jaw tightened. "Captain Carter, this board isn't here to debate social issues." "Then maybe that's the problem," Malik shot back. For the next 2 hours, they were grilled. Question after question, accusation after accusation. The board tried to paint them as reckless, emotional, disloyal. Marcus stayed defiant. Malik stayed composed. When they brought up the leaked emails, Malik laid his hands flat on the table. "We didn't leak anything. We verified corruption. If the truth embarrasses this department, maybe it needs to." The general leaned forward, voice low and cold. "You realize your careers could end here today." Malik met his eyes. "I realized that the moment an officer put his gun in my face for existing." Silence, heavy, charged. Then the general stood. "This hearing is adjourned. The board will deliberate." The gavel struck, hard. Outside, reporters swarmed the entrance. Microphones everywhere. "Commander Carter, what happened in there? Do you regret going public? Is this the end of your military service?" Malik stopped, looked into the crowd. "If telling the truth costs us our rank, then we're not losing honor. We're proving it." Marcus raised his chin, scanning the cameras. "We fight for America. All of it, even the parts that don't fight for us." The crowd erupted in cheers. But behind them, Hayes appeared. Grim, serious, walking fast. "You both need to come with me," he said. "Now." "What's going on?" Malik asked. Hayes looked around before whispering. "They're not waiting for deliberation. Someone's pulling strings. You've just been placed on immediate suspension." Marcus froze. "Suspension? For what?" "For existing in the wrong system," Hayes muttered. "Now let's move before this turns into something worse." As they were escorted out a side door, Malik glanced back one last time, the Pentagon behind him, the flags waving proudly above. He thought about all the oaths he'd taken, all the loyalty he'd shown, all the silence he'd swallowed, and for the first time in his life he felt truly betrayed, not by enemies overseas, but by the country he had bled to protect. That night, a mysterious package arrives at Malik's hotel, containing evidence that could clear their names forever, or destroy the Pentagon itself. Rain fell hard that night. Thunder rolled over D.C., the kind that shakes the windows and rattles the nerves. Malik sat on the edge of the hotel bed, still in his uniform shirt, metals glinting under the lamp's soft light. Marcus was pacing again, restless, furious, talking to himself. Suspended. After everything. You believe that? Malik didn't answer. He was staring at his phone, scrolling through messages of support, hate, confusion. The whole country was watching their lives unravel in real time. A knock at the door broke the silence. 3 sharp raps. Marcus froze. You expecting someone? No, Malik approached cautiously. Through the peephole, nothing but an empty hallway. He opened the door slowly. No one there. Just a small brown envelope soaked at the edges from the rain. Marcus picked it up, turning it over. No name, no address. Just one word written in black ink across the front. Truth. Inside were 3 things. A USB drive, a note written in hurried handwriting, and a Pentagon memo marked Top Secret. Malik read the note out loud. They're going to erase you. This will stop them. Plug it in, but not on your own device. Trust no one. Marcus looked at him, eyes wide. This could be a setup, or the key to everything. They grabbed their coats and slipped out the back door. The city was slick and dark, the rain turning the streets into mirrors. They found a small internet cafe a few blocks away, one of those 24-hour holes in the wall where nobody asks questions. Malik inserted the USB. The screen flickered, then loaded a folder labeled Operation Redline. Marcus frowned. What the hell is this? Malik opened the first file, an internal memo from the Defense Oversight Committee. Lines of classified language, signatures, timestamps, but one phrase stood out in bold. Authorization granted to suppress racial bias incident involving active duty personnel to maintain departmental integrity. Marcus slammed the table. They admitted it. They covered it up and called it integrity. Malik clicked through more files. Email chains between senior officials, coordinating the narrative, feeding the press, instructing local law enforcement to minimize exposure. Every single name tied back to one man, Senator Grant Holloway, chairman of the Defense Funding Committee, the same man who'd been on TV 3 nights ago saying, "We must respect both our soldiers and our police equally." Malik leaned back, his mind racing. He's the one. The leak, the smear, the suspension, all of it leads back to him. Marcus's voice was low, dangerous. Then we burn him. Not yet, Malik said. We need to do this right. We need proof they can't spin. Suddenly, the cafe lights flickered, then died. A second later, the hum of the computers went silent. Marcus turned. Outside the window, 2 black SUVs pulled up, headlights cutting through the rain. We gotta move, he hissed. Malik yanked the USB out, pocketing it. The door burst open. 2 men in suits, no badges visible. Commander Carter. Captain Carter, you need to come with us. Under whose authority? Malik demanded. The taller one stepped forward, rain dripping from his trench coat. Senate Security Division. You're in possession of stolen federal property. Marcus laughed bitterly. Property? You mean evidence? Hand it over, the man said, extending his hand. Malik's eyes narrowed. You're not taking anything. The tension snapped like a tripwire. Marcus shoved a chair aside and the twins bolted for the back exit as the agents shouted, "Stop!" They disappeared into the storm, running through the rain, through alleys, through fear. Behind them, sirens began to wail. Not police sirens, but something darker, official, federal. When they finally stopped, drenched and breathless beneath an overpass, Malik pulled the USB from his pocket. Still safe, still glowing with a single red light, Marcus looked at him, panting. Now what? Malik stared at the drive. Now, he said, we make sure the world sees what they tried to hide. The twins contact a national news network to release the files. But before they can, someone inside the system betrays them again. The next morning came gray and heavy. The storm had passed, but Washington still felt tense, as if the clouds were holding their breath. Malik hadn't slept. Marcus sat across the table, tapping his fingers, a restless rhythm of anger. Between them, the USB drive lay on a napkin like a live grenade. One wrong move and everything could explode. "We send it to the media," Marcus said finally. "We find someone who'll actually tell the truth." Malik nodded. "I already know who. Vanessa King. She's an investigative reporter for the New York Ledger. Used to cover military corruption. She's legit. You trust her?" "Enough." They arranged a meeting at a small diner just off Route 50, the kind of place where nobody looks twice at two men in hoodies sitting in a booth. Vanessa arrived early. Tall, sharp, focused. Her press badge hung from a lanyard, but her eyes were cautious. "You boys really want to do this?" she asked quietly, sliding into the seat. "Once it's out, you can't take it back." "We've already been taken down," Marcus said. "Now we're taking back control." Malik passed her the USB drive wrapped in a folded napkin. She glanced at it, then at them. "If this is what you say it is, it's going to shake the Capitol." "Good," Malik said. "It needs shaking." For a few hours it felt like hope. Vanessa left with the drive, promising to verify it and publish the evidence within 24 hours. Marcus even laughed for the first time in days. "Can you imagine Holloway's face when this hits CNN?" Malik smiled, but uneasily. "Let's not celebrate yet. They'll come hard when they know it's out." He was right. That night, around 11:40 p.m., Malik's phone buzzed. A text from Vanessa. "Need to meet. Urgent. Bring no one." Marcus frowned. "That doesn't sound right." "She wouldn't text like that," Malik muttered. He called her. Straight to voicemail. Then, 2 more texts. "They found me. They're watching." The messages disappeared seconds later. The twins drove fast, through dark side streets until they reached the diner again. It was closed. Police tape fluttered in the wind. A lone cruiser was parked outside. Malik's stomach sank as he saw the sheet-covered body being lifted into an ambulance. A detective stepped forward. "You knew her?" Malik swallowed hard. "She was helping us," the detective nodded grimly. "She was attacked. Robbery, they think. But her car was untouched. Laptop gone, though." Marcus clenched his fists, voice low and trembling. "That wasn't a robbery," Malik whispered. "They got to her." They drove in silence for miles, the city lights fading behind them. Neither spoke until Marcus broke the silence. "We can't trust anyone now." "Then we don't," Malik said. "We go dark. But the files, I made a backup. Cloud server, encrypted." Marcus turned sharply. "When?" "Last night, before the cafe power went out. I used my old SEAL protocols." Marcus stared at him, a flicker of pride cutting through the rage. "You always plan ahead, huh? It's what keeps us alive." Suddenly, a news alert lit up Marcus's phone. He swiped it open, froze. Breaking: military officers under investigation for leaking classified information. Anonymous sources claim brothers attempted blackmail. The headline included their photos. Full names, ranks, home addresses. They were officially fugitives. Marcus dropped the phone, voice breaking. They flipped the story. "We're the villains now." Malik's eyes hardened. "Then we show them what real villains look like when cornered." "What's that mean?" "It means we stop hiding." The twins decide to confront Senator Holloway directly, live on camera, using the backup files. But the system won't let them get that close without a fight. The Capitol dome glowed white against the night sky, beautiful, untouchable, silent. But tonight, Malik and Marcus Carter weren't there to admire it. They were there to break the silence. Marcus parked 2 blocks away, heart pounding like a drumbeat in his chest. Malik adjusted a hidden lapel camera under his jacket. The plan was dangerous, maybe suicidal, but it was all they had left. "You sure this'll work?" Marcus asked quietly. "No," Malik said. But truth only matters if somebody sees it. They stepped into the storm of cameras and flashing lights outside the Capitol steps. Senator Grant Holloway was walking out, surrounded by aides and reporters. His suit gleamed, his smile rehearsed, the picture of American power, until he saw them. "Gentlemen," he said, his tone sharp but civil, "you're not supposed to be here." Malik spoke loud enough for every mic in the circle to catch. "You lied to America, Senator. You buried evidence of racial discrimination in the military. You silenced the people who fought for this country." The crowd went quiet. The aides froze. The reporters leaned in. "That's a serious accusation," Holloway said, feigning calm. "And coming from men under investigation." Marcus cut him off. "Investigation you ordered. You smeared us because we refused to keep your dirty secret." Holloway's jaw tightened. "Security," he muttered to his aide. Two guards started moving forward, but Malik raised his phone, streaming live on every social platform. "You can arrest us. But this video's already uploading, with every file you signed, every lie you told." The senator froze, realizing it was too late. Marcus leaned in, voice low but deadly. "Operation Redline, right? The one where you said covering up racism was preserving integrity. How's that integrity feel now?" A gasp rippled through the reporters. Phones lifted. Cameras flashed. The guards hesitated, unsure whether to stop them or step back. Holloway's mask cracked for a moment, just a flash of panic in his eyes. "You don't know what you're doing," he hissed. "We know exactly what we're doing," Malik said. "We're finishing what you started." Minutes later, the video hit the internet. The files, the memos, the evidence, all of it streamed live and mirrored across servers Malik had prepared. The story exploded. Headlines lit up. SEAL Commander and Police Captain expose. Systemic racism cover-up. Senator Holloway under federal investigation. The nation watched in disbelief as the footage spread like wildfire. Marcus turned to his brother, breath shaky, eyes wet. "We did it," Malik nodded, half smiling. "We told the truth. That's all we ever wanted, but victory came with a cost. They were taken into protective custody hours later, for their safety." The military called it a temporary suspension for review. The FBI called them key witnesses. America called them heroes. For once, the world saw them not as suspects, but as soldiers, brothers, and human beings. Weeks later, Malik stood at the Lincoln Memorial. Morning light touched the reflecting pool, still and calm. Marcus joined him, coffee in hand. "You think anything really changes?" Marcus asked softly. Malik looked out at the monument, the words of equality carved in stone. "Not overnight," he said, "but someone's got to start the fire." Marcus smiled, "And we did." Malik nodded. Together. They stood in silence. Two black men, two warriors, two brothers who refused to be erased. Sometimes justice doesn't come easy. Sometimes truth costs everything. But silence costs more. When power hides behind lies, courage is the only weapon that still matters. What would you have done in this situation? Would you risk your career to expose the truth? Tell me in the comments, and don't forget to hit like, subscribe, and share this story so the world remembers. Racism doesn't end when we ignore it. It ends when we confront it.